everyone, a very warm welcome. I am back with my next AngularJS tutorial. It's the tutorial number 6. In the last tutorial, we learned about creating table with AngularJS and using AngularJS with HTML DOM. Let's see what we will learn this time. We will learn about creating AngularJS modules and then how to implement validation logic in AngularJS. Now, what are AngularJS modules? AngularJS supports modular approach. Modules are used to separate logic, say services, controllers, application, etc. and keep the code clean. We define modules in separate JS files. Let's see how we create modules. So friends, this is the code. Here you can see I have my JavaScript code. This piece of code registers the app named ngapp. I also have the code for controller, inside which I define the model with the help of $scope service. Now for a cleaner code, I wish to move these pieces of codes inside separate JS files and then include those JavaScript files in this main file. Let's see how I do it. This is the new JS file named application module that I've created, to which I will move the code for registering the app from the main file. So I move this piece of code from this file to the other file. Here I've pasted the code for registering the application. I save it. Now I will move the code for controller in another module file named controller module. So this is the controller module file that I've created, to which I'll move the code for controller from the main file. I copy this code and paste it here. I save it. Now, after moving the code to new module files, we need to include those files in this main file. Here, we include the files using the source attribute of script tag. So here, it's application module .js, and then we have controller module file. Now I save it. Now let's see how my page looks in browser. So here's how my page looks. You see it looks the same as it looked before creating the modules. But now I have a cleaner and manageable code in separate files. Now let's discuss AngularJS validation. We can use $dirty, $invalid, and $error to validate form elements. Use no-validate with a form declaration to disable any browser-specific validation. Following can be used to track error. $dirty. It states that value has been changed. $invalid. It states that value entered is invalid. $error. It states the exact error. Now let's see how we implement validation in AngularJS. So here's the code. I have a main app application and then a controller, company controller here. Then I have declared a form named company form. Inside it I have a table. Then I have a few controls, a few input controls. The first one is the company name. It's a text field. It's bound to a property company name. And then I have a span tag which will show the validation. Here you can see I have a $dirty flag and a $invalid flag. When these properties will get true, this span tag will show. To access these properties, I need to access the input field. That is why it is important to name a form and the fields within. So here you see I can access $dirty with the help of company form, that's form name, then within it the company name input field. So inside this span tag I have another span tag which will show when the required property inside $error property will get true, and it will show the text company name is required. Here you can see I have mentioned required validation. It's the HTML5 validation. So whenever my field will be left empty, company name is required validation will be shown in red. As you can see, I have applied the style color red to the span tag. Similarly, I have a validation for location field. It is an input field of type text. Here too I have $dirty and $invalid. When these two flags will get true, this span element will show in browser. And inside this span I have another span which will show location is required text when required property has true value. Here too I have applied HTML required validation to this input field. Then the third field I have is an input field of type email. Here too I have applied required HTML5 validation and a span tag that will show when $dirty and $invalid flags have true value. Inside this span tag I have two span elements. One will show when the field is left empty and the message shown will be email is required. The second span tag will show when the email entered is incorrect, that is the format of email is incorrect, and that will happen when email property has true value inside $error property, and the message shown will be invalid email address. Now I have a reset button as well which will reset the values. Then I have a submit button that will be disabled whenever validation is shown, and to do so I have ng disable directive here which will disable the button whenever any of the field has invalid value or is empty. And to do so I have implemented here many conditions. Either the company name is dirty and invalid, or the location is dirty or and invalid, or the email is dirty and invalid. Now here, dirty means that the value in the field has been changed, and invalid means that the value inside the field is incorrect or invalid. Here I have the code for registering my app inside the script tag, and then I have defined the controller. Inside it I have defined my model with the help of $scope service. Here the company name model property has value Google. The location property has the value California, and the email property has the value sundarpichai@gmail.com. Let's see how my page looks in browser. Here's how my page looks. AngularJS validation. Here you see I have three fields: enter company name, enter location, then CEO, email. Then I have a reset button which will reset the values to the original values, and I have the submit button which you can see at this time is enabled. Now when I change the value inside the company name field, it gets invalid and dirty. Now to show the validation, I require that the required property has true value, and that will happen when this field is empty. So I remove the text, and there you see immediately company name is required text appears in red, showing the validation. Now same is with the location field. Now if I remove the text, I get the validation location is required. Now here the email field, if I enter an invalid email here, I will get the validation invalid email. Let's delete everything uh, in front of Gmail. Here you see gmail.com is an invalid email format, so I get the validation invalid email address. Now if I remove the text, I get email is required validation because this field is empty. So you see, this is how the validations get displayed. And with it you see that submit button is disabled. Now I reset, I get the values back. Even if one field has invalid value or is empty and a validation is shown, you see that submit button is disabled. When I reset it, submit button gets enabled again. So this is how we can implement validation in AngularJS to make our forms better. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please subscribe, like and comment. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking the red button below the video. I will be back with my next AngularJS tutorial soon. Until then, practice more and enjoy. Thank you.